And hello, everyone, and welcome to the Resilience Reflex Show. I'm your host, Zaheen Nanji, and I help and show you how to make resilience, actually, how to build your resilience muscle to make it your first reflex. So today is episode number 2, and for those of you joining me, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you missed the last episode, episode number 1, make sure you go on my website, zaheennanji.com, which is right there, and watch episode number 1. It's only 30 minutes long, and it was with the best-selling author, Kelly Falardo. And she spoke about how she went through life with scars and how she felt about herself. And it was just an amazing story. And with me today are a couple of guests. And the main guest, of course, is Terry. But before she comes on, I also want to let you know that the next show will be on April 19th. Usually, I know it's the first Sunday of the month, but it's Easter Sunday. You don't want to watch me on Easter Sunday. You want to have fun, so make sure you do that. And but what we'll do is we'll air on April 19th with an amazing, resilient author who went from selling 0 books to 200 books a day. Now that is resilience in authorship. So make sure you watch that. If you're thinking about writing your book, or you have a book and you don't know what to do with it, watch that show and learn from him. Okay, so I always have a panel of experts with me, and one is joining us through a Q&A, and one is with us live. So Kathy, would you like to tell us what you do? And Kathy will be joining me almost in every show, because coming in the fall, we will be talking about resilience and my 3-step formula. So Kathy, come on up and tell us about you.
Hi, Zaheen. Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be here this evening. My name is Kathleen Caldwell, and I am a registered holistic nutritionist and health coach. And as a result of menopausal working with me, I have helped them to alleviate their hot flashes, to lose that menopausal weight gain, to sleep better, and to have more energy.
Wow. Now, if I was going through menopause, which I'm not going through yet, I would want to speak to Kathy for sure. Okay, so stress is the topic for today. Zap the stress. I love that title. Zap it. And what we're going to do is get Terry on, but before that, I would like to tell you my story and why I thought it was so important to get her on here, because she is an attractionpreneur, but she has gone through 6 burnouts, and she will tell us about that. But I wanted to share with you about my burnout. It was when I worked full-time. We were opening our wellness center, so talk about wellness and stress. And at the same time, we were buying a property in another province. Now, I'm in Canada, so another province, and just so much going on. And there was one time I sat down and I started crying. And I just cried and cried. And my husband was right across from me, and he goes, "What's wrong?" And I just took my hand and I put it on my head, and I just kept on crying, and I said, "I'm tired. I'm just so tired. I'm exhausted." And I just kept on crying. And he felt so sorry for me, and the look on his face, because he didn't know what to say or what to do. And I didn't expect anything, but he just wanted to do something. And he said, "I know, there's a lot going on, but it will be okay. It will get better." And I think just having him there and talking to him was the first step for me to start feeling better and just breathe. And I'm glad that I cried, but I felt so much better after. But I also learned something about myself, was to take baby steps and 1 step at a time, instead of taking it all together and thinking that I'm Superwoman. And sometimes we as women tend to do that. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Terry. So Terry is a breakthrough creator, inspirational motivator. intuitive leadership, and positive communication trainer and coach. Law of attraction junkie, stress relief master, and she's from Newport, Rhode Island. And Terry, come on in. I'm so happy that you're here with us.
I'm very happy to be here also, Zaheen. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay. So tell us, Terry, when we spoke last, you say that you went through 6 burnouts, and I just couldn't imagine that myself. I know stress is a word like used by so many people nowadays, and I just say, yeah, it's the 24/7 S word, but it's not what you think. It's not the 3-letter word.
Well, you know, there's a difference between burnout and there's a difference between being just overstressed, which we all tend to get to that place. We all can go there, every single one of us. And if you can imagine an electrical plug, and this electrical plug has 30 sockets in it, and then we have energy cords coming out of us into each of these plugs. That's what often happens. We've got every single one of those 30 plugs filled with stuff that's going on in our lives. So the key is to unplug from the things that no longer serve us, because as we keep unplugging, we start to take our energy back slowly but surely. And the goal then is to have a second plug that is full of things that energizes us instead of sucking the life out of us. And what ended up happening with the 6 burnouts was, and I'm talking from my teens, okay, to into my 50s. Okay, so there's a lot of time, there are a lot of episodes in there. And the last one was as a military, we're a military family. And it was after one of my husband's tours. It was his command tour. And when he took command, I made the conscious decision that as a leader, I was very focused on making sure that the families at home were well taken care of so that he and the people on his ship could do their job, especially when they were on deployment. And I wanted to make sure that the people on the ship, and at that time there weren't women on the ship, it was only men, these 350 men knew that their families were in good hands. Well, let me tell you, for 3 years, my phone was ringing from 6 in the morning until midnight, and I created that. I allowed that to happen. And when it was all over, I mean, we had a tremendous command. We had wonderful spouse groups. We did so many things. What happened, though, when I look back, was such a complete and utter, over-the-top exhaustion where I couldn't even talk, couldn't function. And we moved up here to Newport, Rhode Island. We've been living here now for 20 years, and it took me 6 months to recover from that. And what that taught me was that there was one very important thing I had not done, and it took me a while to get this, and that is boundaries. Boundaries. And when we are clear on our boundaries, and when we set the stage on what is acceptable and feels good, then we begin the path of taking ownership of who we are and how we want to live our lives. I was living the life of Mrs. Commanding Officer Spouse, and all my entire focus was on helping the crew and helping at the expense of myself and my girls, actually, at that time, because I was so stressed out it was ridiculous. So it was a really, really, really bad burnout. I'll just leave it at that. Do I regret it? Absolutely not, because if it had not happened, I wouldn't be here talking with you about it today.
That's right.
Okay,
That's
so
right.
it gave me an opportunity to be able to speak to people in a way that has opened doors and allowed me to get certified in stress management. I'm certified in communications. I'm certified in this. I'm certified in that. And I got certifications the length of my arm. Who really cares? The point is, it's the results. And that's what I'm all about. The results of being able to get folks to understand that we are in control of our stress levels. It's not the person out there. It's not our spouses. It's not our kids. It's us. Moi. us.
That's right. Terry, and I'm glad you brought that up because you're so right about saying that it's us. I mean, I think as women that we take on so much and we think that we can get it all done, but it's us that have to keep those boundaries. And I'm kind of interested in Kathy, Kathy's story. I'm sure you have a story, Kathy, where you may have or you may have had that. Would you like to share that with us?
Yes, I've never actually had what Terry has described as burnout, but from a very young age, of about 9, I was raised in a very stressful environment. My father had a brain hemorrhage when I was 3, so my mother was the sole provider. She had to go back to work to raise us, and she was we always teased her that she had adult, like ADD, because she was always very hyper, a very stressful woman. She worried about everything, but in fairness to her, under the circumstances, she was responsible for us solely, in a day and age when moms didn't go out to work, and there wasn't a lot of the support systems that there were now. But when I was 9 years old, I had an ulcer, and I've always been a very stressful person because I think I wanted to make sure I did the right thing as a kid, as a teenager, not to make her burden anymore. And I've just always been a worrier, because, again, we were taught if you didn't worry, you didn't care, which isn't right, but that was, the way she dealt with things. And so I've always been, it's only until very, kind of as I got into the holistic nutrition and, learned that that wasn't serving any purpose to myself or anybody else. Learning how to deal with it, that I have been better, and healthier, obviously, because of it. But it's taken me a long time to realize that stress doesn't solve anything.
Right.
And
That's right.
it doesn't help anybody out. So this is a very interesting conversation tonight.
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up about your mother because I think we all have that similar story about someone that we know. So, Terry, you've heard my story, I've heard yours, and now you've heard Kathy's. What can we change, or what can we let go? What's the first step that you could give someone like us who are women, who've got families, we've got things to run, businesses? What can you tell us?
The first thing to realize is that stress is created by one thing and one thing alone, and that's our emotions. Okay, our emotions. So what I like to do is focus a little bit on the emotion piece. Okay, and you and I, but both as law of attraction trainers, we also know that law of attraction is key to, or emotions are key to law of attraction. So the thing with stress, on the left side, and I'm gonna hold my hand up here. All right, and I usually use I have a big PowerPoint piece that I use for this. Your emotions are in the middle. If you can imagine this, your emotions are in a circle in the middle. To the left of that is low performance. These are low performance emotions. And the low performance emotions are things like worry, anxiety, anger, frustration. What other negative emotions can you come up with?
Fear.
Fear. And anything else?
Kathy, do you have any?
Not off the top of my head, sorry.
Okay. So, but the negative emotions, they are low-performing emotions. And those low-performing emotions do two things biologically to our bodies. There are two hormones within the bodies that are really that are really affected by stress, and that's cortisol and DHEA. When you are in the low performance zone, which is what I call the negative emotions, your cortisol levels go up, and the higher your cortisol levels go up, cortisol can be very toxic to the body. You start gaining weight. You can't think straight. You get fuzzy. You get foggy. It does all kinds of things to the organs. And so the more stressed we are, the higher our cortisol levels go. And the one thing to also remember is for every 5 minutes that you're in a deep state of anger, it takes the body almost 8 hours to recover. Okay, so it's really important to be able to shift out of these low-performing emotions and shift into high-performing emotions, which are on the right side. And these high-performance emotions are love, joy, happiness, gratitude, appreciation. These are feel-good emotions, and there's many, many more, that bring the cortisol levels down and bring up the DHEA levels. The DHEA is the good hormone. And the more you focus on the right side of that, on these right positive emotions, the better you feel, and you're getting healthier. And the more you attract the good stuff that you want to attract. So in order for you to attract happiness, okay, to attract happiness, and I'm going to put up another one, and to create a positive state of being, it's about shifting your perspective. And when you shift your perspective from the left side, and I'm not saying the left side is negative, I'm just saying for the left side of this chart, the left side, low emotion side, shift it to the right, high performance, high emotion side, you immediately start to improve your health because the DHEA is coming up. Okay? So what do? We shift our perception. And how do you shift your perception? An event happens. Okay, an event happens. You have a choice when you look at that event based on the way you were raised, your life experiences, everything that is around you. A perception is created by that event. And that perception then creates words. Those words then create thoughts. Those thoughts then create the vibes, and those vibes then create your results. So your perceptions is what starts it off of what the event is. So you can choose whether that perception is going to be positive or negative. So if you go to that negative place, you're going to be in the low-performing emotions. If you go to the positive place, you're going to automatically be in the high-performing emotion based on the perceptions. And even within negative emotion, even within negative situations, there can still be intensely positive emotions of gratitude and appreciation. And I'll give you an exact example of that. My car got totaled. My husband was at the helm. I got a phone call within 7 minutes of him leaving the house, and he calls me if he was on his way to get the transmission in the car. And he said, "Honey, we don't need a new transmission. We need a whole new car." and I go running up the street, and there he was standing in the middle of the road. And I turned around and looked at my car, and the whole front end was gone. It was gone. And I had a choice to either focus on the fact that my car, my beloved car, which I loved, was completely totaled, okay? Or I had a choice to focus on the fact that if my husband had pulled out a second later, he would not be here today. That's where I choose to go. Okay, so
That's so true.
Okay, so every situation has a negative and a positive side. So we build our stress levels based on that. Okay, so the first step to create, I just got these today, I love these.
They're great.
The first thing to create more happiness in our lives, okay, happiness, very first thing to do is to do something that a lot of us don't do when we're stressed. The very first thing we forget to do is to breathe. Breathe. Okay? The higher the stress, We're holding ourselves. We're holding our bodies tight. And, you know, everything is just super, super tight. So you wonder why you have the neck ache, you got the migraines, the shoulders hurt, the lower back pain, the hip hurts, the knees hurt. Oh, the whole body's a mess. Because the cortisol is coming up, the DHEA is low, and we're looking at things negatively. So I'm going to ask both of you to do me a favor. Do yourselves a favor, actually. Get really comfortable in your seats. Real comfortable.
Okay.
Now, allow the chair to support you. Let go completely. Okay? Let the chair support you. Now, if you have a hard time doing this, not the two of you, but the listening audience has a difficult time letting go and allowing the chair to support you, that's a huge indicator that control is very important to you. Okay? So the question is, if the chair is built to support you and you're not willing to delegate your weight to the chair, as an executive coach and certified coach, my question to you is, where else are you not willing to delegate and you're holding on so tight that you don't allow others to help you?
That's a great question.
Okay? So, just take a deep breath and just relax. Just let your body go. All right? So you breathe, breathe. And the reason we're breathing is to be able to relax. Okay? So, now when you breathe, though, I'm going to ask you to take your right hand and put it on your chest. And use your hand as an air magnet. And breathe. And get really tuned in to this part of your body, the heart area. And breathe into your heart, through your hand, and out of your heart. And with each breath, relax more. Relax your scalp, your face, and your chin, and your shoulders. And take it all the way down. How does that feel?
Oh, it feels even more relaxed because I have to tell you, the whole weekend I learned how to do shiatsu massage.
Okay. So,
oh, but this is even more like just grounding.
I put my timer on for every hour to do this for 60 seconds. Okay.
Wow.
When you lay in bed for 5 minutes and just breathe deeply, just in the way I'm teaching you, before you wake up and jump out of bed, you just do this for 5 minutes. It is similar to putting oil in your car. You are lubricating your body with DHEA. Okay? That will help you meet the day once you finally get out of bed. Okay? And if you make this as a practice, before you get out of bed and get into bed, do it both times, you're picking up again your DHEA levels, especially if you're focusing on appreciation and on gratitude. Things just don't seem as intense. You don't worry as much. You let go of a lot of the stuff that's bugging you. Okay? And there's other steps.
Someone's phone. But it's okay, Terry, go on.
So as far as I'm concerned, the phone is basically saying, yes, it's agreeing. That's why it's ringing. Okay, we call that in the coaching world third level listening. Okay, third level listening. So the phone is ringing right when it's supposed to. It's agreeing.
Having fun, so that's good.
Okay, so now, you know, this is the first step of a lot of other tools that I teach. Okay, but it's the foundational step. It's the important step in order to be able to create calm in your life, calm and ease. So the goal of zapping stress is to shift into calm and ease. So to be able to create calm in your life, just remember, you need to breathe deeply, and then the breathing will cause you to relax. And there we go, sorry about that. And the more you relax, the calmer you become. And the calmer you become, the more positive the events that come to you. It's easier to look for the positivity in all of the events that happen throughout the day. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, it does. And I'm glad you brought up the breathing part, because I find that's where, well, especially as women, when we go, like starting in the morning, we're making breakfast and we're taking our kids to school, and then we go to work, and then it's go, and come home. we forget to really take the time for us and just breathe and in and out, and that is so important. And just especially for our hearts, because I find that when a lot of people are anxious, that heart rate really goes up. And I'm glad that you brought up the like, you know, part that breathe through your hand into your heart, because your heart is the most important organ in the body.
Yes,
where
is.
it pumps and oxygen, blood, things go through there, and you really have to take care of that first, because that's
Right.
the basis of overall wellness. So thanks for that.
Well,
so now that you mentioned that, go ahead.
For yourself. For ourselves.
Yeah, respect. Yes.
Because as moms, what you were just saying, and I've raised 3 kids, and the go 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 have to go 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 syndrome. Have to go 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 go. Got that. Okay? Here's the thing. If we don't respect ourselves and love ourselves enough to give ourselves 60 seconds an hour to breathe deeply, to heal ourselves, it's impossible for us to be there in mind, body, and spirit for our children. It's like what the airline attendants say. You need to give yourself oxygen first so that you can be there for everybody else.
Mm-hmm. The oxygen mask theory, yes, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so if you're someone like us, well, let me kind of go back. As you know, Terry and Kathy, I teach a lot about resilience, and one of the first steps that I do teach is called release. And in that, I show people how to get unstuck and really calm themselves down so that they can move forward, right? And when you started off, Terry, you started off by saying that we have our words and our thoughts, and feelings, or vibes. So in the research that I have done, I have found that resilient people usually have a saying or a phrase or a word that gets them to switch into the low performance feelings to the high ones. Do you have a phrase, Terry, or Kathy? But I guess I will start with Terry. Do you have a word or a phrase, or do you just tend to breathe first, or something that you'll say to yourself that will make you shift?
Well, because we're students of Michael Auger, my word is reset. I love resetting. However, even before I started using the reset button and working with reset to shift my emotions, my word was actually stop. And it was more of a phrase: stop, look, and listen. It's what we learned in CPR. Stop, look, listen. It's what we learn when when you're at a red light. Stop, look, listen. Watch around you and be very cognizant of what's going on. And that's really what you don't know about me is I used to be a police officer in my 20s. And so that was something that was really important to me, to use that mantra for myself, because there were certain situations where I just needed to stop, tune in, and really listen. So that word stop was a big deal for me. So it stands for spiritual, okay, that's because I'm a very spiritual person, spirituality, trust, opportunity, and protection. That's what it meant for me.
Wow, that's amazing.
Okay, and so.
No, I was just going to say, Kathy, do you have something that?
Yes, I do. Actually, if I find myself getting, bent out of shape, etc., whatever, I stop and I take a deep breath and I say, all will be well. All will be well.
All will be well.
Nice.
Yep.
That's a great one.
And that works for me.
That's a good one.
But thank you, Terry.
Yeah,
that
all
is
well.
Wonderful about the breathing, because obviously that can be applied, you know, if you find yourself anywhere at any point during your day, just put your hand on your heart and just breathe. And I could just see that calming somebody down very quickly.
Absolutely.
So great advice. Thank you.
Well, biologically, there's something else that happens there too, and that is you're actually connecting the brain and the head with the brain and the heart. The heart organ is actually a brain. Science has proven that, and you know the Heart Math Institute has shown that, and that's where I learned all that when I got certified with them in 2001, right?
Yes.
A couple of days.
As are all the feelings in your gut.
That's right.
You know.
And so when you connect the brain and the head with the brain and the heart, that allows you to get into that heart zone that the athletes get into when they're running. So when you're in that zone, that energy where everything just flows, everything just is so easy. It's fun.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Very juicy.
Well, we're almost at close here, but I wanted to ask you one more question, Terry, which is what are two powerful tools that you can give to people today that can start to zap their stress? You said breathe was one. Do you have a couple more?
Breathing was one. The first one was breathing, and the second one is to trust themselves. We are all intuitive beings, and what ends up happening when we get messages, whether we either see pictures or we hear words or we feel things or just know things, we tend to blow them off. And I'm asking you to listen and trust it, because as intuitive beings, when we don't listen to our intuition, we tend to regret it. And it goes beyond our logical brain and our heart brain. It's actually something different. It's our inner guidance system. And that inner guidance system takes us to places that can be very, very magical if we get out of the way and trust ourselves and trust it. So the two pieces are to breathe deeply into the heart, ta-da, and to create trust.
That's great. Well, you've all heard a couple of tools that you can start using today, and I'm just going to recap. One is to take your right hand, put it on your heart, and just breathe in through your hand into your heart, and keep doing that. And like Terry says, start doing, and listen. They're going to come to you. They will be curveballs. They will be times where you find your back against the wall. But just stop and reset and breathe and trust. And those are simple words that we can give so that you can simply live your life. And that's what it's all about. And that's how. And instead of saying stress all the time, don't think of it as stress. Just think of it as they're just stepping stones to something greater. Something that you want to learn about yourself. I'm not speaking about greatness out there, but just something that you start to become more and more aware about yourself. Like the story that I started with earlier, where I just sat down and cried. I learned something about myself then that, hey, you know what? I can't say yes to everything. I have to start saying no. And it's okay to be selfish, because that, like Michael Lozier, he says that's self-care. Because sometimes we tend to just give, and we forget to receive, or we feel guilty about receiving. And you really have to start to turn that around. So, again, the next time that we're having a show is April 19th. By the way, my daughter, who's 9, wrote that. So there you go. And any last words? Let's start with Kathy.
Great conversation tonight, a great topic, and I know dealing with my clients, I don't think I've ever not had a client that has not had some form of stress. So thank you very much, Terry and Zaheen. These are great takeaway tools and techniques that I can share with them. and they'll be grateful to have them to use in their lives. So thank you so much.
Nice.
Thank you, Kathy, for being on the show today and sharing your story. Terry?
You know, I'd like to offer a gift for your audience, if I may. And if
Yes,
they go to
please
my
do.
if they go to my website, awakenthepossibilities.com, awakenthepossibilities.com. If they on the right side, if they give me their email address and just their first name, that's all I need, they will receive a little double-sided, it's a little booklet, and in there is actually a stress script using EFT, emotional freedom technique, to help reduce stress in the moment, and it's using the meridian points. So if they would like to get that, and these are the different points that we work with, go to awakenthepossibilities.com and it will be sent to them right away.
Awesome. I will also put that onto my blog when I put this. Oh, and yeah, so if you know of anyone that would love to watch this, Kathy and Terry, make sure you with the link, it will go out, and I will have the website on the blog as well as on any links. So to my viewers, thank you so much, and again, thank you for watching episode number 2 of the Resilience Reflex. Until next time, April 19th, we'll see you then, and have a happy Easter. Bye now.